What's up everybody, I'm HoopsandHipHop, and Pokemon Sword and Shield are officially one day away. They come out tomorrow as of the upload of this video, and I am so unbelievably excited. However, whether you're watching this video the day it comes out before the release or after the release at some point, I have got a really interesting theory for you that's going to be just as fun either way. So one of the very first Galarian forms that we were introduced during the promotion of Pokemon Sword and Shield was Galarian Zigzagoon, as well as the rest of its family. However, one very interesting thing about this line that was specified on Pokemon Sword and Shield's website is that Galarian Zigzagoon is actually the original Zigzagoon, and that's not the case for the Hoennian Zigzagoon, which is obviously the very first one that we were introduced to. This is made even stranger by the fact that Zigzagoon is inspired, at least in part, by the Japanese Tanuki, where the Hoenn region as a whole is also based. So with all of this Japanese connection to Zigzagoon, and Hoenn being the place where we were first introduced to the Pokemon in the first place, how could Zigzagoon possibly originally be from the Galar region? Well, in this theory, I am going to explain all of this to you, and to start, we've got to look at Galarian Zigzagoon itself. According to the Pokemon Sword and Shield website, where it is stated that Galarian Zigzagoon is the original Zigzagoon, it essentially states that Zigzagoon, as well as the rest of its family, took on this form because the environment of the Galar region for it specifically is a little bit harsher compared to Hoenn, which caused it to bring on this darker, more mischievous demeanor, and it's also what caused it to eventually evolve past Linoon into Obstagoon as well. And this is another thing that makes it all the more strange as to Zigzagoon being originally from Galar, because the whole idea of regional variance is supposed to be Pokemon adapting to their environment and that adaptation causing a change in them, which obviously is what Zigzagoon is doing here, adapting to its harsher environment in Galar. However, once again, as the website states, this is supposedly its true form. So all in all, everything is pointing to the fact that Zigzagoon being originally from Galar just does not make any sense. However, if you look at this whole scenario outside of the box a little bit, it begins to make a lot of sense, and the dynamic between these two versions of this Pokemon starts to become pretty fascinating. So if we want to find the secret between the two different versions of these Pokemon, we need to once again look at why they are the way they are. We've already discussed the Galar version of Zigzagoon and why it is the way it is, so comparatively, Hoennian Zigzagoon and Linoon are probably this way because compared to the Galar Zigzagoon, they don't have to scratch and claw and fight for themselves quite so much as Galarian Zigzagoon does, which explains their less dark nature, as well as why Hoennian Linoon is unable to evolve into Obstagoon because it simply doesn't need to. So in a sentence, the main difference between these two versions of this Pokemon is aggressive for the Galar version compared to comfortable, I would say, for the Hoenn version. And this is the secret that makes this supposed inconsistency not so inconsistent after all. While it is true that Zigzagoon is partially based on something that is Japanese in origin, it's perfectly fine for the Galarian Zigzagoon to be the original, because instead of Zigzagoon adapting to its life in Galar, it's actually the case that Zigzagoon adapted to its life in Hoenn instead. And the reason why Zigzagoon is more aggressive in its original Galar region is that even though this is, according to the Sword and Shield website, the original habitat for Zigzagoon, it's still not a habitat that Zigzagoon and the rest of its family are truly able to be fully comfortable in, hence why they've had to scratch and claw and evolve one extra stage into Obstagoon. However, once this Pokemon made its way to the Hoenn region, even though this technically, according to the lore, is not its original native location, it is one that's much more suited to Zigzagoon's interest, and it's able to live much more comfortably here compared to Galar. So the way that it adapted in Hoenn, its second home, as opposed to adapting in Galar, is that it simply lost its aggressive nature and no longer needed to evolve into Obstagoon. So it basically adapted by stunting its growth because it was so unbelievably comfortable in Hoenn as opposed to Galar, and the reason for this is because of Zigzagoon's Japanese Tanuki inspiration and the fact that Hoenn is also based on a section of Japan as well. So all in all, this is really a case of the regional variant concept being flipped on its head, where rather than the second form that we see of this Pokemon being the one that's actually adapting, it's actually the original one that adapted instead. And the reason why it adapted the way that it did in essentially losing a type and losing an evolution is because the origin of this Pokemon lies in Japanese culture, which is where the Hoenn region lies as well. So because this environment is a better fit for Zigzagoon as a whole, even though it's not natively from here according to the Pokemon world, that is why it is able to be more comfortable than the Zigzagoon that is originally from Galar, even though Galar, according to the lore, is its native home. And that is my quick little theory on what is going on with Galarian Zigzagoon. I know this is a short one, but honestly, I thought it was a lot of fun to think about and go over, and it kind of explains Zigzagoon in a way that makes a lot of sense for me, so I hope you guys enjoyed it too. If you did, be sure to leave a like, let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and let me know, are you guys excited to play Sword and Shield? It's literally only a day away. Be sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel as well for way more Sword and Shield content. Now that this is basically the last video before the games are coming out, every video after this will have access to the full Sword and Shield game, so I'll be able to make a ton of different content, starting of course with the first post Sword and Shield release video on Saturday. So once again, subscribe if you haven't yet, and be sure to hit the notification bell so you can be notified as soon as that video goes live. You can also further support the channel if you'd like by checking me out on Spotify and checking out my Pokemon Cardinal project if you haven't yet. But with all of that being said, I will be back on Saturday. As I said, I am so excited to play these games. They're finally here. And until the next one, as always, I love you guys, and I will smell you guys later.